Okay, this is a quick tutorial on 3 things that could be wrong with publishing your website through Google Sites. The first one, this is a brand new website. I've never published this before, and I am still working on it. I can do anything I want at this point. So if I wanted to change this, etc. The problem here is that this particular site has never been published, and the normal result, I've brought in a different browser altogether. The normal result is that if I come up here and copy this address and submit it as my publication, either for my course or just in general online, and I send that to somebody, there's a couple of problems with it. Number one, notice that there's all of this kind of gibberish in between. That's a really good indication that it's a brand new site and that it's never been published. The other indication is that it ends with a /edit. In any case, when I go to it, it's going to basically say you need access. This is not going to work. So let me move that out of the way. To rectify that, I would come back to my editor and I would click on publish. Now, the very, very first time I publish, I need to give it a web address. So I'm going to give it a URL. Without this information, I cannot complete anything beyond that. I can also look at this line here. It says, who can view my site? And in this particular case, it should be anyone. If I were to send them this particular web address, Google has actually gotten smarter about this. And if I were to paste it in here, I could go ahead and take a look at it and Google would automatically send it. However, it's not truly yet published. The best way to send somebody your website address, and for course submission work, the only way is to go ahead and click on publish. In this particular case, I hadn't made any other changes. So I'm going to return to the editor. And then the best way to send the link is to click on the drop down and then click on view published site. Notice now that this web address significantly changes from the previous. And in fact, it is now this particular web address. So notice how this is different from our first time when we had that /edit at the end, as well as a whole bunch of gibberish. That is one way of troubleshooting, is that if the site has never been published before. The second thing, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. The second reason why it could go wrong is if I were to come over here and click on publish settings, and if I were to change this after I sent it to a person who wanted to take a look at it, if I were to change this spelling correctly, that means anybody who already has the link could no longer get to it. So if that's the case, I would want to go ahead and change it. In this particular case, it's telling me that this is too long. So if I were to change this back, it's going to say updating the URL will break any external links and bookmarks, meaning anybody who has this website will get an error and will oftentimes get a situation where your viewers can't find the website because you've basically given them the wrong address. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that because this is an existing site for me. I'm going to close that out. And then the last thing that could go wrong, I'm going to go ahead and publish this. That's fine. And so if I were to go ahead and click on view publish site and come over here and take a look at it, then I would indeed see it. But what happens if I come back into my editor and I come over and click on unpublish. Now you might be tempted to unpublish it while you're making changes, which you can certainly do, but just know that by doing that, your audience will be confused because they won't know where to find your information. So now if I were to click and copy this, note again, it's got that edit piece and it's got a whole bunch of gibberish in here, so it can't find it. More than likely, it is one of those particular issues that we're having problems with your finding your website and previewing it. Again, one of the bigger things to recap is that if you've never published in the first place, if you publish and then change the web URL, for example, let me just show that to you one more time. If I change this after I've sent it to somebody, if I have made it such that the public can't see it, or if I have unpublished it. So I hope those help in terms of troubleshooting your website ability to be viewed permissions.